Hi there, my name is Madison Adkins. I'm a news team staff researcher at Ballotpedia, and today I'm going to be giving you a primer on runoff elections. So runoff elections are stages within the election cycle. They can happen after primary elections or after a general election. But I'm going to start by talking to you about the kinds of runoffs that happen after general elections. So we call these general runoffs. They are the final stage within an election's process. In other words, they tell us who the winner of an election is. So general runoffs are used in states that require candidates to receive a majority of the votes cast to win an election rather than a plurality. So a majority is when a candidate receives 50% of the total votes cast in an election plus at least one more. A plurality, on the other hand, occurs when a candidate receives the most votes cast in a race, but those fall below that 50% plus one more threshold. So an easy way to think about a general runoff is to think of it as a second general election. We're choosing between the top vote getters that we found in the first general election. Because a threshold, however, needs to be met to hold general runoffs, they're not always needed. If a candidate receives a majority of the vote, they will win an election outright. But if no candidates meet that majority threshold, then the top two vote getters would advance to the general runoff. And as of 2020, there are 2 states that conduct general runoffs for federal and state level offices. These are Georgia and Louisiana. On the other side of the coin, we have primary runoffs. These happen after primary elections. They're similar to general runoffs, except that they don't determine who the winner of an election is, but who advances to the general election. And a primary runoff is very similar to a general runoff in that it occurs under similar circumstances. If no candidate meets a certain threshold of the vote, then they would advance to the primary runoff. And many states use that exact same 50% plus one threshold that states with general runoffs use. But some states have different thresholds. North Carolina, for example, requires candidates to receive a 30% plus one threshold of the primary vote to advance to a general election. And if none of the candidates receive that threshold, then the top 2 vote getters would advance to a primary runoff. As of 2020, there are 10 states that conduct primary runoffs for federal and state level offices. These are Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Mississippi, North Carolina, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, and Vermont. But in Vermont, primary runoffs are only held in the case of a tie vote. So I hope that helps you understand runoff elections a bit more. Keep up with Ballotpedia because we cover runoff elections all across the country. And finally, thanks so much for watching.